Welcome back to Fail Up, everyone. I'm your host, Adil Malik, and today I wanted to do a solo episode on the eve of one of the biggest elections for sure of my lifetime, and I'm sure for a lot of you that are listening, that are tuning in, that this is also going to be an extremely important, incredibly important election for a plethora of reasons. Now, I'm not someone who's a politician, and I think this is something more recent, probably in the last couple of years, that I became more fascinated and interested with politics. I grew up in a household where my dad was very passionate about politics. He's always been following it, whether it's back from the home country where he's from. He lived in the Soviet Union during communism and before, so the Soviet Union fell, and then he came to the United States. So he's been really impactful. Also, moving around so many times throughout my childhood, I also found that it made me very curious looking at the different social classes internally within my family and different friend groups, behaviors, and just observing how people align their values with their politics, right? So in life, I've just been very cognizant of it. And I want to do this episode because regardless of which side you're on, so some people might be Democrats, some people might be Republicans, some might be independent, some might be on the Green Party with the Green Party. I think we have to understand that we have an important role, not just in the swing states, but states where maybe it's predominantly on one side. That we do have a say, we do have a voice, and it's our duty as citizens to go out there and make our personal values and our opinions and our perspectives not just be heard, but to align ourselves with it and to remind ourselves that we're part of a bigger whole. And this country has progressed in such a way because of its citizens, because of the public, because of people, right? So we are the ones that hold our establishments accountable for the things they do, how they lead society. So there's a lot of different reasons, but there are high stakes. We have Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Okay. So it's not just a choice between two individuals, it's a decision about the direction we want to take as a nation. Um, we're balancing these ideals of what the American dream is, and then at the same time, our identity as US citizens. It seems is just always changing and things are happening. Technology is being implemented in everyday lives in ways we couldn't imagine or fathom 20, 30 years ago. Values that we've honestly had around for decades are now being questioned, right? So, again, regardless of your view, it is your responsibility to go ahead and vote and to speak out on the things that you're aligned with. So, what I want to do in this episode is kind of highlight the importance of why you should vote, which is what I'm kind of discussing here. But I want to go a little bit deeper and discuss more about how to pick a candidate that is aligned with you. Because I think what I've noticed with my own siblings, family members, friends, we're picking whoever we believe is the lesser evil, which is one way that we make the decision. And this is a pretty impactful decision. I'm sure you've seen YouTube videos and TikTok clips where people are stopped at random and asked why, who they're voting for. And then the follow-up question is why? What's the policy? What's the reason? And nobody gives an answer with any depth or any substance at all, which means clearly people don't really think through these things when they should. So coming back to it, I want to help, especially younger people that are listening to this. I want to help you guys come up with kind of a system or a way to decide and how to make a decision on who you should vote for on strictly policy and values, right? Because I don't think anyone ever teaches us how to vote, unfortunately. That is something they should teach us. How do we make better decisions in regards to the political establishment? So anyway, I want to help you do that. I want you to pick a candidate that best represents your values, and we're going to examine key issues and kind of look at how to better look at the track record of somebody and what they're saying. Are they hypocritical? Do they mean what they say? So take out a pen, listen in, open the notes on your phone, make a list, and get ready to clarify where you stand as we approach election day. So Now, we're going to go ahead, and one of the first ideas I want to talk about is the American dream versus progressive values. We always, especially in politics, because Democrat, Republican, abortion versus not abortion, taxes versus lower taxes versus higher taxes. We always make everything very binary and black and white when the world itself doesn't work like that. It doesn't work in a very binary way. It doesn't work in black and white. There's a big gray area, and we need to understand because people believe that if they are progressive in their values, that takes away from traditional American values or traditions or rituals. Or if they're too predicated on the American dream and they're conservative, that means they can't have progressive values. When that's actually a lie. The true American values is a blend of progressive values as well as conservative values. So what I mean is, the American values of success, prosperity through hard work, your merit, you know, how you contribute to society and community. And then progressive values tend to be more about equity, social support, environmental sustainability. But the reason why our society has advanced as much as it has, in comparison to other, for example, Europe, right? Europe is always trying to preserve its history. One of the things I've realized is traveling, when you go and travel to these other places, especially when it comes to cities, you're not going to see the mega cities that you see in the US, maybe with the exception of like Hong Kong, Tokyo, UAE, Dubai, places where they invest a lot. In general, not very many places in the world have a country that's the size of the United States and then also have the mega cities that we have. And the mega cities kind of exemplify our capitalism and show our innovation and how much we always push forward. If we had a city like New York City in Europe, it would probably look the same it did 100 years ago. Because Europe is all about preserving architecture, keeping things the way they are, not too much change, more. It's a little bit of a simpler life, right? Which has, of course, its pros and cons. But strictly with America, we've always pushed the boundaries. We've built bridges, infrastructure, technology. Everything's just pushing the boundaries of human civilization, right? That's one of the things we pride ourselves on, and we are progressive, right? What it means to be American is to be progressive, is to be open-minded to new thoughts and ideas, and that's the influence that we've had on the world, right? So coming back to it, I think it's important for people to understand that those two are intertwined. You can want what's best for society or what's progressive at the same time, while not taking away from your fundamental conservative values in regards to maybe family, how you raise a family, when it comes to hard work and your thoughts on hard work. So make sure you reject black and white thinking and understand that things are not very binary, and it's not either or. And the reality is a little bit more nuanced. So values and policies can integrate ideas from both ends of the spectrum. So there might be things that you like on the liberal side, and then there might be things you like on the conservative side. So don't demonize the other side right away. Think a little bit more intellectually. Think a little deeper and slow down. Right? Don't just label things right away. And I think that's a big problem why we are not even capable of having the conversations we need to have in regards to politics. The next thing that I would advise is number two is establish your personal values, right? So when you're younger, it's harder to know your personal values. I think this comes with age, especially as you approach your 30s, as you get married, as you look for a partner, life partner. These things become very crucial to your happiness, peace, and fulfillment. You have to know what's most important to you. And things that are important at 21 might not be as important when you're 30. But what I mean by personal values are, for me personally, I'll share a little bit more about what's important to me. Of course, the economy is important. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a business. Where taxes fall into that, what tax bracket I fall into, how I'm incentivized by the federal government or the state government in regards to my business has a massive influence on how on my personal life and my finances, right? So economy is important. Also, our position in the world. We are world leaders. I've always had so much respect for our country and being born in this land. I'm so proud. But recently, our image to the entire world is that we're idiots. When I go abroad and you hear the perception of America, everyone wants to live here, everyone wants to be here. And I think America does a good job of taking care of its citizens. It could always do better. There's always room for improvement, and that's another discussion. But the point being, in general, you have a lot more opportunity here than you do in other countries. Whether it's Europe, South America, it doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. America in general has far more opportunities, vast opportunities compared to other countries. And what I'm trying to say is in regards to that is with that, right? We have this responsibility to the world that, the standards are very high for the U.S. And then for us to act in irresponsible ways, insinuate war and instigate war and take our tax dollars. And essentially, as a voter, you have to keep in mind you're basically handing your money over to this entity that you are trusting is going to lead in such a way that makes this a prosperous nation for your future family and society as a whole. And you're basically saying, I want you to take my money, and I'm okay with you taking my money and allocating towards the different things that you believe are important. Now, if the government's taking money from in the form of taxes and putting it into investing in things, killing people abroad, doing this, doing that, all this nonsense that you don't agree with, then it is your responsibility again to make sure that you pick a candidate that whose tax dollars are allocated towards the things that are important to you. So just keep in mind the core values, and core values are what's going to help you decide who is a good candidate. And for me, I said economy. I think also war, right? I don't want someone who's a warmonger who goes and instigates war. And of course, we know about the military-industrial complex. If not, I would highly encourage you to look it up. I would look up what John F. Kennedy had to say about the military-industrial complex and do some research there. And again, don't take every piece of information you see on TikTok or social media and then just automatically absorb it as the truth. You should take bits and pieces from different, or if you can, and you have the time and energy, listen to longer format podcasts and interviews and form your own understanding and opinion, while always being open-minded, and connect the dots, use your intuition. We're blessed with intuition that helps us understand, that gut feeling we speak about, that helps us get more clarity on things that are important to us. So listen to that, recognize that. And when I say do your own research, what I mean is if you go on Kamala Harris is the best TikTok, and then all this information talks about how great Kamala Harris is and doesn't talk about any of the things that she did, bad, or things that make her maybe not the greatest person, that's a very biased source of information. And then vice versa. If you go on only Trump TikTok accounts or Instagram accounts where they're just promoting Trump, you're not going to be able to see the full picture. So make sure you're going to more neutral sources that don't sway on one way or have less bias. But even then, listen to both sides and then form an opinion. So I would definitely say figure out your personal values. Is the economy most important? Is abortion most important? What social justices are most important to you? Is killing people abroad and military, is that important to you or not important to you? What is important to you? And list out those things. List out the values. I would use tools like ChatGPT or comparison websites to just explore candidate stances on each value. So I would literally ask and Google, look around, go on the second, third, fourth page of Google to find out, who has a certain policy and does that policy resonate with the personal values you're looking for. So that's super, super important. And I would say now, once you kind of figure out what your core values are, this is number 3. You want a scoring system. And this is something I do for restaurants. I do a lot when I need to make decisions and weigh out the pros and cons of anything. I've done this also for like big life decisions. So anyway, regardless, I want to come back to this. So this is a scoring system that I've created, and it's to rank candidate alignment, right? So let's say I pick economy, foreign affairs, and social justice. To me, economy is the most important. Those are the 3 most important. Economy on a scale of 1 to 10 to me is number 10. War is 8, let's just say. Okay. And then social justice, maybe that's not as important to me for whatever reason. It might be important to others, but for me personally, it's not as important. So let's say I do 4. Okay. So I'm at 22 total. And the highest is 30 if I say 10, 10, 10. So I did 22 out of 30. Now, I'm going to write Trump, and I'm going to write Kamala. And under Trump, I'm going to write economy, I'm going to write foreign affairs, and I'm going to write social justice. Same for Kamala Harris. And then I'm going to rank Trump's economic policy, his foreign affairs policy, and then also his policy towards social justice, and the same for Kamala. And then I'm going to put a scale on a rating of 1 to 10 of their policies. So now I'll go to ChatGPT or wherever, and I'll ask, okay, what are his policy stances on this, this, and this? And I would also give a profile on yourself. So say I'm a 25-year-old male, white male living in New York City, earning roughly this amount. These are the things that are important to me. And under that context, whose policies are more aligned to who I am as an individual and what I care about? And can you please source the information of those policies? So that's literally what I would ask ChatGPT. And let's say Trump, you see Trump's policy and you're like, oh, that resonates with me. And I like that he's cutting taxes here. He's doing this and that, incentivizing this way. Gas might be cheaper. Okay, so I'm going to give Trump a 10. Or Kamala Harris is incentivizing new business owners. She's giving a tax credit of up to $50,000. So I like that idea. That's a boom, boom, boom. That's going to make a huge difference in my life. I'm going to give her a 10 for economy. Okay, so you like her economic policy. You ranked her 10. Awesome. Now, let's say and then with Trump, I think abortion is super important. It's a social justice, but he is anti-abortion, so he gets a 0 there. You're going to rank each of those and see which policies resonate with you, and then give it a scale of 1 to 10. So if your total score is 22, let's say Trump scored 10 on economy, 10 on a foreign affairs, 0 on social justice. His total score is 20. With Kamala, let's say it's 10, 5, 10, 25. So if my number 22 is a little bit closer to Kamala, then Kamala Harris is probably more aligned with my personal values. If the number is closer to Donald Trump, then that means that my values are more aligned with Donald Trump's policies. So that is exactly how I would advise anyone listening to literally rank and write this out and go ahead and do this practice. Because I think a lot of young people are very stuck. They don't know who to vote for. They're listening to the opinions of their friends. They're going to TikTok, watching a couple biased videos, and then just going to the polls and then just being like, I don't like what he said or she said. I'm going to go and vote for this. Pick people that are actually aligned with what you want. And this will also help you with better critical thinking and understanding what the differences are of different candidates and who stands for what. And it'll also help you define your values a lot better. So again, this is something really, I want to keep this short. I just want you guys to go out there. I highly encourage you guys to go vote. Make sure you do your part as a citizen of this country. It is a fucking privilege to be a citizen of the United States of America. It is a fucking privilege. Yes, there are other countries that do certain things better than us. They're more comfortable. So maybe there's certain places that are safer. But all around, to have a well-rounded country with the pop culture we have, with the food we have, the diversity we have, the opportunity we have, it just doesn't exist. And the more I travel, of course, I'm grateful. There's things I loved about Italy that I wish America had. It would be awesome to have plazas everywhere and we could just walk around and not, drive hours and hours in a car all day. That all sounds amazing, right? But yeah, we don't live in a perfect world and we have the freedom. And I think if I lived anywhere else in the world, it would be a lot more difficult to live the life that I'm currently living. So that is my right. That is my belief. Everyone has their own beliefs. And I think that's what makes America great. It's not by accident that our border is out of control and millions of people are doing everything to come to this country. It's because their current situation in probably their respective countries where they're from, political situation not that great, safety not that great, resources not that great. And even when there's countries that have resources, yeah, maybe America's not using their resources 100% perfectly, but they're better off than the rest of the world. And we have an amazing life here. So and the whole world wants to be a citizen. I don't care what anybody says. I've seen this over and over again. There might be a few exceptions, a few outliers that are just in love with their country and they never want to have anything to do with the U.S. But for the most part, if you gave someone the option of, hey, you could be a citizen of the U.S. and your country, they would probably say yes. And I mean, who wouldn't? And everyone comes here for a better life. I've seen it with my own immigrant family, and telling you, I've seen it with my own eyes. Blood, sweat, and tears, and really like the most insane things. I think none of my family that came to this country, and I'm a first generation, I don't think they could have ever fathomed the life that they have today. I don't think anybody, when they step foot on the soil of this country, ever imagined that they would acquire the level of wealth and freedom and quality of life that they now have, the ability to give back to their countries where there are people dying in poverty. They would not be able to achieve anywhere else in the world, or at a very limited capacity to what they were able to achieve here in the United States. So again, very valuable to have a passport. And for those of you that are born and raised here, you probably don't know this. I was also born and raised here, but because I'm so close and I'm first generation, I'm seeing all of my family migrate over here. I know my parents' story. I'm very close to it. For those of you listening who might be Italian or Irish or whatever descent, you don't feel that as strongly because it's your great 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 grandfather who came to Ellis Island and brought the entire country to the States and the family got bigger, and you kind of lose touch of those roots. I'm very close to those roots. And a lot of us, first generation, we are very close to those roots, and we understand the impact that this country has had on us, and shaping us and having such a positive influence on us. So it's our job to keep striving forward, making this country a better place, saying what we think, and being open and being okay and vulnerable, and understanding that it's okay for wrong. If I'm wrong about a certain candidate, it's fine. That's part of growth. That's part of the process. We need to fail up as a country. We need to agree to disagree. We need to have productive conversations, constructive conversations, not destructive, where we can openly talk about policy or character and support somebody. And that's what makes this country so amazing, right? The free speech and being able to discuss these things. So again, I'm going on a rant, but I want to just emphasize again, for those of you that have a U.S. passport or a license, you were born and raised here, you're a citizen, in any form, it is your responsibility to go out and vote. Do not sit on your fucking ass. Do not be a lazy fucking bum, and you don't want to go and wait in the lines, and you don't give a shit. Stop acting cool. You're not in fucking high school. Get the fuck out and go register. Make sure by this point, you should have already been registered, but just make sure you go out and vote. It is your duty. It is your responsibility. And as always, I thank you guys so much for listening in to today's episode. I'm going to keep it short, and go out there and vote. I'm dropping this episode. Normally I drop it on Tuesdays. I'm going to go ahead and drop it today a little bit early because of the importance of this. I hope you guys listen in, and I hope I was able to help you just a little bit, even if it's just 1%, on understanding how to better align your personal values with the potential future president of the United States. And this country is amazing. I cannot wait to see, regardless of who wins the election, we should have the utmost respect for that party, for that candidate that wins, that takes a seat. They are the leader of the free world, and we might disagree, and there's ways to voice our disagreement, but we should always have respect for both sides. So just want to give you guys that as a reminder. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you as always. Please like, comment, if you can, and share this episode, write a review, however you can support. I greatly appreciate it. I'm shocked at the way this episode, or this podcast as a whole, has been going. It is difficult. It's a little bit more of a commitment than I initially thought, but it is going well. The listens are increasing. People from all around the world which is so mind-blowing for me, that I'm humble that people want to listen to my opinion and voice this way. So I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you. And I'm super grateful. And let's just keep failing up, guys. Let's fail up as a country, not just as individuals, and do our part. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.